Hi everyone, so welcome to your first 3D print. At this point you've gotten the front bearing modeled and the side panel modeled. Let's go ahead and print this front bearing cover while we have a chance. So I'm going to come over here to front bearing cover. I'm going to open my bodies. If your bodies folder is closed, you can open it by clicking on this little arrow here. I'm going to find the front bearing. If I click on the front bearing cover, it'll show me where it is in my model. So this is what we're doing. I'm going to right click on it and create a mesh. Click Save as Mesh. Click OK. And now it's going to ask me a bunch of questions. The first thing is a selection. So it's already selected the front bearing cover. The next thing it's going to do is ask me what kind of file I want. STL binary is fine. Any of these are fine files to use. We can just leave that one alone. The unit type is millimeter. It's what we've been modeling in. Let's leave that alone. Refinement. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off the outside panel. I'm going to hit my home key so we can zoom in on what we're doing. We're going to print this piece. And I'm going to change I'm going to do preview mesh, so click it on. And so what a mesh file is, if I rotate it around, it creates all these little triangles all over the surface, and that's what it saves. It saves the data about the triangles, so it creates a surface for it. You can see here, we have 4,242 triangles. That make up this mesh surface. If we go refinement low, it'll make fewer triangles, but then there'll be more flat spots on it. It won't look as nice. So we're gonna always keep our refinement high unless we have a really complicated model where there's like tens of thousands of triangles, and we can change it to low. All right, last thing we're gonna do is, this will be unchecked for you. Don't check it. I have a special setting on mine that allows me to check it. And then click OK. It's going to now ask us where we want to save our thing. So we're going to do save to computer, and you're going to actually click here, and you're going to save it to the downloads folder at the top somewhere. So there should be a downloads folder at the top, and you're going to name it something that you can remember. So here I'm going to say front bearing cover Josh. So my name on there so I know which one's mine. And I'm going to save it to the downloads folder and hit save. Awesome. Now we're done with Fusion 360 for now. So I'm going to go back to the home view. I'm going to turn on the outside panel and home view again and go ahead and save this. Okay. Once I've done that, I can go ahead and close Fusion 360. And then I'm going to open up a program called Prusa. If you can't find it, it's Prusa. And there's a Prusa Slicer app. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to click open. So a 3D printer works by printing one layer of plastic, moving up a tiny amount, and printing another layer, another layer, another layer. Well, this is the program that actually creates all that information for each layer. So some of the things we're looking at. Yours will show up blank here. I'll show you how to add all this stuff in just a second. But there's different layer heights. So print settings here, the layer heights. This means it's going to move up 0.3 of a millimeter, so a really small distance. There's other options on here that range from 0.2 all the way to 0.05. We don't ever need to use these. These oftentimes fail. It's just such a small layer height, the nozzle ends up hitting stuff and causing all kinds of problems. You can use a 0.3 and a 0.2. For our design stuff that we're doing as a class, there's no complicated shapes to it. It's just like circles and rectangles and things. We can keep 0.3. It'll print faster and cleaner this way. Now, to add these, here what we're going to do. We're going to go down here where it says printers. We're going to click down on the printer. Yours should probably be blank or have something weird in it. You're going to go to Add Remove Printers, and you're going to choose Add Remove Presets. Click on that. And it's going to say something about probably install like this. You're going to hit Install. Then you're going to get a screen that looks something like this. Yours might actually start on the welcome screen like this. You'll click next, and these are the printers that that we have options to choose from. We don't own the MK4 printers, so skip those. We don't have the M3.9 family. We don't have those either. The minis we don't have. The ones we have are the Prusa MK3S, MK3S Plus, and it should be a 0.4 nozzle. If any of these up here are selected, go ahead and uncheck them if you see any that are selected. Okay. All right. Next thing we're going to do is go to Next. We don't have any of these printers, so go next again. We don't have any of these printers, go next again. We don't have any custom printers, go next again. Now we got to choose the type of plastic we're using. First thing I want you to do is click on None, so that clears off all the other filament types. We only print with one type of plastic in this class, and it's called PETG. So what we're going to do is in the type column here in the second column, find the one that says PETG, click on it. And we use a PETG that isn't listed on here, so we're going to use generic PETG. And then we're going to click the box next to generic PETG, and we're going to click finish. Once that happens, your printer should change to MK3S Plus and generic PETG, and your print bed should look like this now. This is what our printer beds look like. This is the size of them. All right, now we get the settings done. Make sure over here it says 0.3 millimeter draft. Use a 0.3 millimeter for this. Now we're going to go over here and go File, Import, STL3MF Stub, OBJ-AMF. These are all those things, all the different file types you could have chosen from. It can import any of them, so it doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to come up here to where I left it, which is the Downloads folder, Front Berry Cover Josh. There it is. Double click on it, and it's going to come in. Now, if I try to print it like this, it's not going to print well. I'll show you how. So you don't have to do this yourself, but watch mine. So slice now. This will create all the slice information for us. And it's going to say there's lots of problems. So I'll show you where some of the problems happen at. So if I can grab this arrow up here and go down through all the slices. Notice there's 150 slices here. So I'm going to come down all the way. All right. I'm going to zoom in. You can zoom in by rolling your mouse wheel. And our first problem happens down here at the bottom. So if I rotate it around, you can see as I go up, I'm using the arrow keys to go up. Each of these blue things, notice how right here on this layer, it has to print this blue part out over space, which means the plastic, as the head goes out, back, and around, it's going to sag and cause a stringy mess and not be a very nice print. As I go up, we're looking for this kind of dark bluey color. All of these, notice how this one over here too, it's hanging out over the edge, so it's not going to print well. So I'm going to keep going up, and this is cool. So this is what the printer can actually do. It's going to run around the outside edges here and then print this middle mesh, so it's not a solid piece of plastic in the middle. And it's going to just keep going up layer by layer, printing these things. I'm going to flip it around to the back side so I can see how the holes are doing. Okay, that looks all pretty good. Right there. Again, I've got that dark blue where it's going to be out over space. It's going to be another ugly space there. And, oh, there's more ugly there. And then, oh, more ugly there. This is going to all print off really chunky. The other problem is that this hole is not going to be the right shape because it's made with these layers like this. All right, so this isn't how I want to print this one. So what I want to do is go back. Right now I'm in the slice view. I'm going to go back to the 3D editor view. And what I want to do is I want to put this face down, one of these flat sides onto the print bed. To do that, I'm going to use the Place on Face button. And I'm going to start by placing this one down. And then I'm going to re-slice it. And now I can drag this all the way to the bottom and then just start coming up and seeing what the problems are. So everything looks really good so far. And notice how it's going to be able to create this center circle as a perfect circle now. Instead of a layered circle with all kinds of weird, ooh, that's going to be a problem. This first layer has to print two circles out in the middle of nowhere. You can see there's nothing supporting this plastic. It's going to just fall and it's not going to print at all. Like it's going to be a terrible print. So, and then all these blue lines will go out, but there won't be anything to touch to, so they'll be all terrible as well. All right, so this wasn't a good way to do this one because we're going to lose our bearing hole. So I'm going to go back to the platter and I'm going to go back, click on my object, choose the Place on Face. I'm going to try and put it on this flat face, flip it over. All right, and now I'm going to slice this and see how it works. This is the process. It's just like trial and error to see which way is the best way to do it. So when I come down here, I can see, okay, that all looks good. I'm going to arrow up. I don't see any weird blue yet. Notice how each layer, even though it's farther out from the other, they're on top of each other still a little bit, so they're able to support each other. So that should print out nice and smooth, nice and clean. Keep going up. Ooh, there was a problem. This first layer is not going to print well. So just like that big bearing hole before, all three of these are going to be stringy and weird at first. They will recover over time, so let's keep looking. And then we'll keep going. Okay, notice there's my bearing hole. My bearing hole is going to fit, was going to print great because it's on top of stuff. It's sitting on top of things. So yeah, I think this is probably the best way because our bearing needs to be a really good bearing hole, and also for the axle, we need to have a really good hole there too. And we're gonna just live with the fact that our screw holes won't be so clean. And you'll see what that looks like when you get them printed. All right, now we've got it sliced up and ready to go. We just need to go to a printer, choose what color printer we wanna use. On the left-hand side of the orange screen is an SD card. And you go grab it. I'm gonna go grab one myself. All right, so I've got my SD card from the printer. I'm just gonna pop it right into my computer. Mine brings this screen up. I don't think your computers do this. But what does happen is down here where it says export G code, there's a little button to the right of it that says export to an SD card. You need to find the SD card that's called Prusa something. It could just be Prusa or it could be this Prusa i3 MKS3. You also have one that says ENR4B. That's the big thumb drive. Don't put it on there. Put it on the Prusa one. And you're just going to hit save when you get the Prusa one up. And then this screen pops up down here letting you know that the upload is done, and you can hit eject. That will safely eject the SD card, and you can remove the SD card, pop it in the printer, and print. If you have any question about how to print, let me know. I will help you. Great luck. Good job, everyone.